So anyway, as they say in 2000 AD, Borag Thung Flets. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to do a review of the latest 4 issues of 4 progs of 2000 AD, which is a really good jumping on point. This is the issues that came out after the big chunky Christmas issue, and there's lots of new stories that started in it. But the most important story is Death of a Judge, and it's notable for a number of reasons. One, it's got quite possibly one of the world's best artists currently who is on comics, and that is, drumroll, Mike Perkins. Of course, you'll know him from the Swamp Thing series by Ram V, and he's doing a really good Batman series, like a Second World War version of Batman by him and Dan Jurgens for DC's Black Label. And he's done loads of other stuff. He's just such a perfectionist in his use of colours. I'd say he's this generation's version of John Totterburn. He's got that amount of detail in his artwork. But even bigger than that, this has been announced as quite possibly the very last Judge Dredd story by John Wagner, who basically is the father of Judge Dredd. He created Judge Dredd years and years ago, 50 years ago, with him and Carlos Esquerra and Pat Mills as well. And he's been the most consistent writer on Judge Dredd. I mean, this is really unusual for, if you think about it, you can't really look at any Marvel comics or DC comics where you've had a writer who's been on and off a comic strip virtually for long chunks for nearly 50 years. Even Chris Claremont can't really hold that mantle. So it's a very, very important story, but the artwork, it's just beautiful. And the story, of course, it's John Wagner. I mean, nobody writes Judge Dredd as well as John Wagner. And he's picking up a lot of plot points and plot on threads that have been in the Judge Dredd storylines going on for about the past 10 years. So the mechanismos are back. What I love about Judge Dredd is how it can seamlessly blend action with a revenge thriller, with politics, and everything, and social commentary, and everything else in between. It would really piss off MAGA voters, or these sad bozos who are comic skaters who just want comics that are right wing, etc. So comics shouldn't be political. I'm afraid, my darlings, 2000 AD's always been political, and it doesn't get more political than Judge Dredd, and it's all the better for it. It uses comedy, it uses action to bring across a message, and especially when it's in the hands of one of the world's best writers like John Wagner. If you're in America, I guess the one thing that he's more known for in America, I don't think people realise that he created Judge Dredd in America, but he did A History of Violence, which became that globally popular film as well. So yeah, he's just a phenomenal writer, and it's one of the Judge Dredd's been amazing for the past 10 years since Rebellion took over, but it's in the hands of a master craftsman, master storyteller now, and we've teamed up with the beautiful, gorgeous artwork of Mike Perkins. It's like John Wagner's just grabbed all the best bits of his 50 years on this character and made this perfect storyline. It's going to be a long one. It's already 4 chapters in, and we've just got started, but it doesn't feel draggy at all. It feels fast paced. There's already been assassination attempts on Judge Dredd. There's been judges blown up. There's been loads of violence, of course. PJ Maybe's in the mix. I think, is it PJ Maybe? Got to bear with me because I've been reading a number of comics at the moment. I don't want to steer you wrong. This is what happens when you read this and Judge Dredd magazine. Sorry, no, not PJ. Maybe it's there's a very small plot thread from years ago. What is the catalyst for what's going on here, where the Justice Department are being targeted, and yeah, it's amazing, amazing. So ignore what I said there. Like I said, I'll be reading Judge Dredd magazine as well at the same time. So of course that's very Judge Dredd heavy as well. But yeah, it's just wonderful. So the new Judge Dredd storyline with the arts and story balanced together, 9 out of 10. I'm only giving it 9. I know that's a high score, but I feel like we're just getting started. I think that's a WWE term, isn't it? We're just getting started. And then we have a storyline. What initially, when it first came out, the art I found very jarring, but he seems to have found his groove now. I've said before, he looks very much like Richard Piers Rayner, who did Hellblazer for a bit, and Gary Spencer Illidge, who did Strangehaven. He's got that clear, bold style, and the strip itself is Hearn and Schuck. It's an urban fantasy set in the north. Originally started off in Manchester, so for me, that's a bonus brownie points anyway. It's just balls to the walls brilliant. It's like a UK version of Mage. If you've ever read Kamiko's Mage, or I think it then went to Image by Matt Wagner, it's got that same irreverent, but reverence, if that makes sense, handling of mythology. And the art is really up to its game as well. There's a very good strain of black humour in it as well. And the main character's great. Hearn's great because he's got these godlike powers, but he's such a loser. So I can relate. Not about the godlike powers, but being a loser. But by the way, got to say, this cover, how amazing is that? Yeah, it's one of my video reviews, so one of my review shows, so it's going to be very scatty. And there's a dog. Schuck is the dog, and he's a dog who can eat demons, and he talks. Of course he does. So it's traversing around places I'm very familiar with, Manchester, and then you've got Cumbria, Lake Districts, and places like that. And it's just, the art is just up to its game as well. It's one of the best new series that have come around in a long time in 2008, or in comics. Full stop. It wouldn't be out of place as a Vertigo title, put it that way. All the characters are really relatable, and one of the characters, as you can see here, the one whose head is being taken off the body, she's been reanimated by Hearn because he didn't realise he had godlike powers. So if he wishes something, it happens, and he wished that she'd come alive again, and so it did. She did, but she'd been dead for about 5 months, so she was not on the most healthy side. And there's this secret organisation that's basically like utilising the powers of all these mythical creatures, and it's just ramping up again and again. It's just a really fun story. And again, just look at this cover. 2000 do some of the best covers going. So after that, we have some one-shot stories of Young Death. This one is written by Keck W. and art by Mike Dowling. Mike Dowling has done some really good stuff for Devil in War. He's got a really nice, clean style. And I love how they're just these one-shots where they just give you glimpses into young Diaf, as he used to be called before he fully became Judge Death. Life as a young trainee judge. And it shows that he was even more horrific before he became Judge Death, because there's no excuse for him being like this as a young man. So it's basically showing you how he carried on getting more and more corrupt until he became what we know him as now. And so there's another story here of Young Death, and this one by Keck W again, but Tom Foster, who's the closest we've got now to modern day Brian Bolland, who's doing the colouring as well on there. He's like a curious mix of Brian Bolland and Glenn Fabry. And again, a really good one and done story. And this is where he's coming into his own. He's trying to prove himself to the other judges. And initially, they think of him as being stuck up, stick in the mud, goes by the rule book. And then they see he has a natural penchant for violence. And that kind of endears him to them, as it would. So I think that was those were the only two young Death stories. And then there's a one shot called The State of Nostalgia by Ned Hartley and Steve Roberts. It was a one shot. Not every 2000 AD story hits, but it's more hits than misses. And it was a cute, like timey-wimey story. The art was, I must admit, the art was a bit jarring, and yeah, it's just it felt like filler. Some of the few shots don't; they feel like a really fun thing, and you wish it'd been more. But yeah, that just felt like filler. So yeah, it was a 2 minute distraction, and then there was a start of a thriller. That's thriller with a three in it. It means that it's a 3-part story, and it could spin off into an ongoing series. And it's called Money Shot High Stakes, and it's by Keck W again, art by Rob Richardson, who's slowly becoming a favourite of mine. I didn't like him at first. This is what I like about 2000 AD artists, the new ones. Oh, it's basically 2000 AD, since the get-go. They let them train on the prog itself, and you can see them getting better and better with each subsequent storyline. So it basically starts off this woman driving in a car, and she ends up in this kind of like parallel universe. And I like how it changes the color tone to reflect that, and it looks like it's a vampire one. Really fun story. And the next storyline that's in all the issues is Asimov, what I've raved about before. This is a spin-off or the next evolution of Sinister Dexter, who were gun sharks, Hitman for Hire, and it's now Dexter and Judge Anderson, Cassandra, who are in like this virtual world. And the art, it's written by Dan Abnett, of course, who's amazing. The art by Tajio Bettin, it's just next level. There is a collection of the first storyline coming out soon, and I do recommend, if you've not read this in the prog, go out and buy it. You will not be disappointed. Dan Abnett is doing his best work at 2000 AD, much better than any of the stuff he did at Marvel or DC. He's a much more of a natural fit for a good science fiction story. And 2000 AD, just let him do whatever the hell he wants, and it pays dividends. And he's matched perfectly with this artist who can definitely, you can tell they work very well to convey the story, what they want to put across. And by the way, so right on my mind now, ignore what I said about PJ Maybe. He does not appear in these stories. That I was reading an essential Judge Dredd. This problem when you read so much 2000 AD stuff like me, the storylines can cross over. But ignore me. Just ignore that bit. And I can't be bothered editing, so there we go. So Asimov carries on. Asimov finishes with that issue, but it will return. It's just fantastic. It's basically a 3-issue story out where they're being chased by this Minotaur, and the rooms are changing according to what the Minotaur wants, how he wants to capture them. And it's got a really good payoff. Lots of things happen within 3 small chapters. It leaves you just wanting more, but feeling satisfied at the same time. And when that story finished, a new story started, and this story is fantastic. And it's got a very big name. So there's a British film director who's done stuff for TV, did a series about old age zombies on Channel 4, and he's done some episodes of Doctor Who, but he's done more than that. He's done films as well. He did The Meg 2, and he's done revenge about a pregnant woman who becomes the serial killer. And he's done some like weird low budget sci-fi ones and some weird ones that start off like slice of life dramas that become horror. And it's Ben Wheatley, and he's now writing a character for 2000 created by himself and art by one of my favourite artists, Simon Colby, who has commented on my videos before, so I'm going to give his name again just in case he comments. I love his artwork. And it's called Judge D, and it's a psychic judge, but the art, by the way, is just gorgeous. I'm so hyped for this series. And another bit of news, Ben Wheatley is going to be doing another 2000 AD story with art by Mick Mann. So they've had to postpone it because I think Mick Mann's not one of the fastest artists now. So that'll be coming out whenever it's ready. So there's like lots of demonic activity, but this judge is possessed by a demon, and the rest of the department doesn't know about this, and she keeps him in place by feeding him corrupt souls, basically. And it's like a deal that they've got, and he also helps her solve cases. So it's a really fun story. Really enjoyed it. And then the final story is just classic story by one of my favourite British writers, Pete Milligan, and it's called The Discarded. Written by Pete Milligan, gorgeous art by Kieran McKeown, and colours by Jim Boswell. And it's about this guy who gets dumped. He's like a protester, usurper against the government, who gets dumped on this junk planet basically to basically live out his life, live out his sentence. But as he gets dropped there with lots of other people and all this junk as well. And in this junk is this like AI device, what latches onto him, and it imbues him with the powers of a god basically. And he causes an uprising on this junk planet. And the twist and tale is they send somebody to hunt him down, and the person they send down is his estranged daughter who cannot stand him, and she's very much been indoctrinated by the government. So she's basically like an ICE agent who's just soaking up the doctrines of Donald Trump and his MAGA bullshit. So it's Pete Milligan, so it's going to be very on the nose a lot of the time, but in a cool, good way. And the art by Kieran McKeown, is really stylish and good. It'd make a fantastic film. You can almost feel the grime and the dirt on this planet. There's lots of twists. There's not really any likable characters, but they are likable because they're dislikable, if that makes sense. And being Pete Milligan, he likes to play around with time scale, so it jumps backwards and forwards to show you how this father and daughter became so estranged, and you realise that he's a bit of a bastard. But yeah, it's good. It's a revenge story. It's a story of numerous parts. So it's this guy trying to better himself, trying to free the world, and it's this girl hunting down her father who she blames for ruining her life and her mother's life. So that's it. So 2000 AD and the magazine at the moment are on really creative highs. I'm having a blast reading them. It's just still one of my favourite comics to get every week. And yeah, if you've not been buying it, do get it digitally or get it in this format. In America now, Luna Distribution are also distributing it into your comic shops. So ask your comic shop to put this to one side. So hope you enjoy that. Oh, overall rating. So apart from the one blip with that short story, I'd give it an 8 out of 10 in totality, or 8.5 out of 10. Just so good. So I hope you enjoy that. Bye.